From NPR and WBUR, I'm Peter O'Dowd. This is Here and Now. President Trump has broken his silence. For the first time since the election, he took questions from reporters yesterday at the White House. His answers show he's still in denial about the results. Here's what Trump said when asked if he would concede to President-elect Joe Biden.
It's going to be a very hard thing to concede because we know there was massive fraud.
There is, of course, no evidence of fraud. Earlier this month, government officials called the election the most secure in American history. And yesterday, when asked if he would leave the White House when the Electoral College formally certifies Biden's win, Trump said this.
Certainly I will, and you know that. But I think that there will be a lot of things happening between now and the 20th of January.
Let's bring in Beth Phooey of NBC News. Hey, Beth.
Hey.
So, as I said, yesterday was significant because we haven't seen the president answer any questions since the election. We've only read his usual comments on Twitter, and then I guess we saw him pardon a turkey the other day. What did you hear yesterday?
So I heard a president who knows that he's lost and he knows he's going to be leaving on January 20th. I mean, he very much was clear when asked that question. But what he's continuing to do, regrettably, is to sow the seeds of doubt about the veracity, legitimacy of Joe Biden's win. And to say to a group of reporters standing there to be broadcast to the world and not just over his Twitter feed that there was a massive fraud in the election, which, as you mentioned, there's absolutely no evidence of that, is to tell his supporters to not believe in the results, to not consider Joe Biden to be the president of the United States, and to just leave the country very divided, which is, of course, his political capital, Peter. This is what the president does. He's a divisive figure. He has governed as though he's the president only of his base and not of the whole country. And he's preparing to leave the White House in that exact same way. The country divided, one half not believing that Joe Biden is the legitimate president come January 20th.
It got pretty heated at one point. Here's what happened when a reporter interrupted him as Trump was describing how fraudulent he believed the election was.
You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way. All right, I'm going to go with another question. Go ahead.
What do you make of that moment? What did that signal to you? He was angry.
Well, he doesn't like to be asked questions that he doesn't want to have to answer. And when he's being pressed on the fact that he lost the election, that he has not yet conceded to Joe Biden, that he's going to have to hand over the keys to the administration, to the White House, to his rival, he doesn't want to answer that question. But just to be clear, he was being asked very respectfully by the members of the press corps in that room what his plans were. These were not outrageous questions. They were not in any way designed to embarrass him or to confront him. President Trump does not like to be put on the spot and to be made to feel uncomfortable, and that's what was going on right then.
We heard the president say that a lot will be happening between now and the inauguration. What do you think we can expect from the Trump administration or what's left of the Trump campaign between now and January 20th? All of the court cases have, petered out. What's the end game here?
Well, he's going to use the tools of the executive branch to probably do a few things before he leaves. We saw him pardon Michael Flynn, his former national security advisor, who pled guilty twice to lying to the FBI. He pardoned him. He could have other pardons up his sleeve. He probably will. He's exercised pardon power before and seems to enjoy doing that. He's working on a drawdown of troops in Afghanistan, which is noteworthy. He may also just finalize a couple of executive orders that would be something that Joe Biden could overturn, the Biden administration could overturn, but will be in place for a while until they are overturned. So President Trump's going to use the tools available to him to sort of leave his mark on the presidency. But, Peter, the most noteworthy thing that happened this week was the ruling by Amy Coney Barrett in a case involving religious expression and whether or not a governor can impose limits on church or synagogue attendance. And I think we need to remember that that's President Trump's most enduring legacy. He has 3 Supreme Court justices who will be there for many, many years to come, and they are all conservative, and they will be carrying out the law in the way, or interpreting the law in the way that conservatives most wish. So he will be extremely influential even after he leaves the White House.
And just briefly, Beth, the president said he would go to Georgia next Saturday to support the 2 incumbent Republicans in a runoff there for Senate. This was something that Republicans were waiting for.
Yep. I mean, he'll do a great job bringing out Republicans to vote for those two Senate incumbents, Senators Loeffler and Perdue, but he's also going to bring out an awful lot of Democrats to vote against them. He is that kind of polarizing figure, and we're going to see that play out in Georgia in those Senate races, just as we did in the presidential race in Georgia.
Beth Fooey, senior politics editor for NBC News. Thanks as always.
Thank you.
And as President Trump continues tweeting about the election results, a hashtag in his name popped up online just in time for Thanksgiving. And that's where we're going to start our weekly social media roundup with Femi Okay, host of The Stream on Al Jazeera English. Hey, Femi.
Hello, Peter. Happy Thanksgiving.
So tell us, yeah, you too. And tell us more about this hashtag. Things we should thank Trump for.
It is a riff on the normal Thanksgiving gratitude hashtags that we often see on social. Tim Starr says, things we should thank Trump for. For the first time in my life, I know the name of the Postmaster General. Tim then starts a whole conversation. Maggie Nixon jumps in. Well, the only thing that I can thank Trump for is the extensive education I've given myself on politics and politicians. And then one more on that little thread that Tim started, and this is from Tootsie Roll, as she calls herself on Twitter. For the first time, many young people now know who the president is and are following what he does. Other threads on this whole things we should thank Trump for, Hamza Zagoud, exposing what politicians really stand for, money and power, and one more from Nate, more women are running for office. They weren't all this positive, but do look out for things we can thank Trump for. Some of them will be very supportive of the president, but there are lots of good visuals that I really want you to check out.
Remember when people used to always kind of say tongue-in-cheek, thanks, Obama? Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, Obama.
All right. Another guy who's been making the rounds this week on social media is a former Sherwin-Williams paint company employee who goes by Tonester Paints. He's big on TikTok because he makes these colorful paint mixing videos, but Sherwin-Williams fired him recently after they said he was making the videos during work and on company equipment. Here he is sharing his own side of the story on social media.
I developed a business presentation to show the marketing department how TikTok can be beneficial to the company's brand. The VP of marketing then told me he didn't even want to see my presentation I had made for him. After that, I started purchasing my own paint and continued making the videos. A few months later, I was fired for gross misconduct because people were calling customer service and asking if they could put blueberries inside of paint.
I'm sorry, I just heard that. That's really funny, putting blueberries inside of the paint. The company told BuzzFeed that they parted ways with him because customers were complaining. Meanwhile, the paint mixer and his story have been getting a lot of reaction online. What are you saying about this?
So much. So Tonester Paints, or Tony Pelosino, he has a really big TikTok following. 1.4 million people follow what he posts. The videos are beautiful, swirling colors of paint changing color. Online, a lot of the sentiment was really shocked that Sherwin-Williams would fire an employee who's posting so positively about their brand. Matt Ford sums it up. Sherwin-Williams found out that it employed one of the few millennials who was truly passionate about their job and fired him for it. Kate on Twitter, it's wild to me that you would do this given that their Instagram, that Sherwin-Williams Instagram, is really reliant on user-generated content. This is a botched opportunity and makes me second guess the type of company I've been supporting. Firing someone for this and during a pandemic? The reason why there was so much shock is because online, brands are always looking for millennials, looking for great social posts, paying people who are on social media influencers to help promote their brand. Here, Sherwin-Williams had somebody right underneath their roof and they fired him. A lot of people online were saying, okay, Tony is out of a job. How can we help him find a job? And of course, it just took a couple of days before he found a job, and Tonester Paints will now be painting at Florida Paints. And he says he's going to continue.
He's got a new job.
Yeah, he's got a new job already. Already he's got a new job.
And he still has all those followers, too.
He still has all those followers, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But it seems very strange. It was really questioning sort of a corporate mentality that you would fire somebody who was doing so well for you as a company. And so that was the query, and that was the question, definitely on social.
Finally, Femi, we just have about a minute here. On a sad note, the co-creator of the popular Ice Bucket Challenge has died 7 years after his ALS diagnosis. Patrick Quinn, just 37 years old. How are supporters remembering him online?
Very fondly, with admiration, and also posting about their stories. I mean, the Ice Bucket Challenge, we love to hate it because it was so viral, it was everywhere, but it was raising money for medical research for ALS. I think what sums up the sentiment is Brian, who posted a video of him doing the Ice Bucket Challenge. Now he's in a wheelchair, he can't walk, but he's saying, this was so much fun to do, great memory, and hoping a cure for ALS can be found soon. And that was posted in honor of Patrick Quinn, the co-creator of the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Femi, that's why we do these segments. I mean, the ability to influence people on social media is profound.
Of course.
Femi, okay,
Influence
host of The
begins.
Stream on Al Jazeera English. Thank you so much.